West Tigers fans, as the team heads up to Townsville to take on the Cowboys, it looks like we are shuffling the decks again with a bit of a clean out for the West Tigers. Let's discuss that and preview the game up in North Queensland on an episode of the WestsLife Podcast. Welcome in to another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. I am your host, Josh Barnett. Please give us a follow at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And shouts to all our YouTube regulars. Here they come, rolling in. Riff watching our man in Florida. You can see him in the comments as well. If you want to watch us live on YouTube, we'll be back. If you're listening to this on the audio, you can, and you missed it, come join us Monday night, 8:30, when we review this game as well. So shouts to everyone tuning in. Here they all come. See Kim, Brandon, Murray, Chris, Emmanuel, all the regulars. Love yous all. Righto, let's get straight into it. Like and subscribe while you're there too, guys, if you can. Like this episode and give us a sub. I'm sure all these guys, our loyal listeners, have already subscribed, and we're at 1,007 or something now. But how are you this evening, Mr. Thompson?
Yeah, g'day Josh. G'day everyone watching and listening. I'm pretty good, mate. Just trying to enjoy the rest of the week for what it is. At least we've got an early game this week. We get it out of the way nice and early.
Absolutely. Righto. Let's get into it. So shouts to our ChaseBet, our sponsors, ChaseBet as well. We'll get to my Josh Stradamus pick of the week later in the show. We'll see what I've come up with. But if you head to check the link at westtigers.com.au, there's a big purple button, and join our friends at ChaseBet. You can join in the fun, send them a direct message and tell them that we sent you there, and they'll look after you. Great. We love the team at ChaseBet. What are you really gambling with? If you need help with gambling, call 1-800-858-858 or go to gamblinghelponline.org.au. Righto, the big story tonight as is Isaiah Papali'i, for starters, is being shopped around, or not shopped around. He's been granted granted permission. The permission is the word I'm looking for, to speak to other rival clubs to end it after 2 years. He signed a 3-year deal. He obviously was hesitant and played a bit of hardball coming here from Parramatta but it could be 2 years, and see you later, Papali'i.
Yeah, honestly, I think this one's a bit of a shame. For the most part, I think we just haven't been able to use him properly. You look at the halves he had at Parramatta, the fact that most of the time when he ran off a half, it was Mitch Moses and what he's able to do. We just haven't had that ability. Obviously, we had Luke Brooks last year and Caesar/Sullivan this year, so he's not getting the sort of quality ball that he got while he was at Para, where he really started to make a name for himself. And like you said, things were a little bit sketchy in the early days before he even came here. The whole season while Para were going through that grand final run, there was all those stories and news articles and everything, and every time he was spoken to in a press conference, he didn't want to comment on his future, stuff like that. It all just seemed a little bit messy, and it just, seems like the club and he hasn't been able to get the best out of himself while he's been here. And it's a bit of a shame, really, because especially considering next year with the likely halves pairing of Galvin and Luai, I think there's a lot more potential for him to be a much better value and much better quality player for us.
Just saw Murray. He said as long as it doesn't cost the club a cent, there's no way they'll be paying part of his salary. I would say it'll be a mutual agreement, and he will move on to another club, because I think I believe the contract ups to $750 for next year, I reckon someone will pick him up for that money. I highly doubt Richo will pay him to play elsewhere. What do you reckon, Az? I think it'll be a clean cut with the salary.
Yeah, I agree. I think the club may pay up to maybe 200,000 of it though, because that's not as big a cap hit as the rest of the salary was. Like you think of last year, what we were paying for Clemmer compared to what the Knights were paying for Clemmer for that year. That was like a 50-50 split for both clubs. It was something along the lines of 400K each. And I think we probably won't have to end up paying that much of his salary. But if we had to pay 150 to 200, I think we could probably cop that. We probably just don't want to pay him too much more because some of his money you'd have to think would be going to players like Lockie Galvin.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see because, it's only just come out with Michael Chammas in the last couple of hours that Richo's flown to the United Kingdom and he's shopping around. They're rumouring in this article that they're shopping around Johnny Bateman and who was the other one? John Bateman, Brent Naden, and possibly Bud Sullivan. So, man, it's as they called it a new era last year with all that sort of thing. It's almost going to be a new era in 2025.
Yeah, new era Mark II. I'm all for it though. The players that haven't been playing well for us that we don't really want to hang on to, if we can get rid of them, all the better for the club. The issue is what is there to get for next year is sort of what we got to look at, and who do we want to bring in?
Kane on the Facebook stream said, not Nathan and Bateman. No, it might be a bit of sarcasm from Kane there. Look, in terms of Bateman, I think
personally want to keep Bateman. I think Bateman's really good. He's been very good for us. He has the ability to fill the centres if we need him to. He can come in at lock if absolutely worst case scenario. He needs to do that too. Obviously, second row quality for sure as well. I think he's one of the ones I'd really want us to hang on to, but I know not everyone agrees.
I think it's the money. Yes, it
might be that too. Yeah,
my opinion on this Pupley, I think Pupley has played better than people give him credit for. We just haven't used him as well. My opinion on this is I'm sure Richo has, and Benji and everyone else at the club has a player. I can't see them just doing this without having a real good crack at someone to replace them. They're not just going to let these veterans go and play with more kids next year. Like, surely they're going to be cashed up and bring in someone. I know we tossed up the idea of Angus Crichton in the Discord today, patreon.com/WestsLife if you want to join us on the Discord with plenty of discussion this afternoon. Firing away. Is there anyone, have you looked at the off-contract list? It could even be someone another club might want to let go as well. So it might not even be a free agent sort of thing. But Angus Crichton, anyone else on your radar, Az?
I mean, a lot of people are saying that he might potentially go to Penrith. And if that's the case, I wonder if we'd maybe try to look at getting Luke Garner back, because I didn't really understand why we let go of him, because he had a lot of talent and he was playing quite well for us at a period where we were starting to slowly slide down that slope. And I thought he was one of our better players. And even in his final year with us, he had a really strong season. So he's one I'd look at there. I see Brandon W in the YouTube comments there saying Viliami kick out, but I'm pretty sure he's still got maybe 2 years left on a contract with the Dogs. And
they wouldn't let him go, surely.
I don't see them wanting to let him go. If we're talking about second rowers, I don't know, maybe try and get a kid named Sean Bloor back to the club. He goes all right, doesn't he?
A lot of people saying we should never let Sean Bloor go. And what am I to say other than...
I'm also in that camp.
I told you so. Everyone's like, oh, he's not a first grader. Oh, he's a fringe first grader. He's too injury. Touch wood. He's too injury prone. Look at him carving up. He's a starting back rower for the second place team in the comp. So I told you he had talent to burn, and we just need to be patient. But it is what it is. So good on him. Righto, 6 p.m. Friday, our West Tigers head up to Townsville to take on the Cowboys. Let's preview that game. It is literally the worst. How are they going to get a crowd? I don't know how the crowd... Because I know a lot of Townsville fans, we don't have our Cowboys guy on tonight. He had to work, but he promised us he'll be back on for the Leichhardt version in a few weeks' time. So, a lot of people that go to Townsville, because I got family in Mackay, and a lot of my family in Mackay, which is like a 4-hour drive or something, they get a lot of people driving to the game, but I highly doubt that they can do it at 6 p.m. Friday. So it's a bit of a shit go for local Cowboys fans, but who cares? Doesn't worry us. Right, Az, take us through the team list.
Too easy. So Jareem Buller is at fullback with Charlie Staines and Solomon Aliamalo on the wings. Declan Casey gets his West Tigers debut in the centres, along with Josh Felaty, Lockie Galvin and Jaden Sullivan in the halves. Stefano Utoikamanu and David Clemmer are the front rowers, with Appy at hooker. Isaiah Papali'i is back in the second row alongside Samuela Fainu. And Justin Matamua gets his first start, I believe, in the 13 jersey at lock. The bench is Jake Simpkin, Alex Twal, Alex Seyfarth, and Fanua Bole. The Sione Fainu is 18th man, with Alex Lobb, Talon De Silva, Tony Sukar, and Solomona Fa'atape in the reserves.
A few people saying we got Olom in the swap. Obviously the Olom still. I gave Olom 3 points for last week, so obviously I want my cake and eat it too. I want my Blaw's the cake, and I want to have Olom as well. I want both at the club. Right, as the center's obviously the big thing. So speaking of Olom and Brent Naden also out, Josh Felaty gets another crack at first grade, and Declan Casey gets his debut. He's so back in the orders that he doesn't even have a photo for the club. So what are your thoughts on this center pairing?
Obviously, we weren't going to have something too experienced this week, considering the outs with Naden and Olom and the experience they bring to a team. I wasn't sure which way we were going to go. Like I mentioned on Monday, we had a few options. I didn't expect Declan Casey's name to be read out on Team List Tuesday, but I'm happy for him. Obviously, every player, if they earn it, deserve a club debut, and he's very inexperienced as an NRL player as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him getting his debut. We didn't get to see too much of him in a Tigers jersey so far this season. Obviously, he got heavily concussed in our first trial against the Warriors and has played reserve grade since he recovered from that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Look, I'm at the point now, the season's done, and I'm all in. I mean, it looks like the club, this news story that we talked about at the top, where they're just getting rid of or trying to get rid of the big dollar contracts. I'm all for just give the kids a crack now. So Josh Felaty, I feel like this is his, because he got a fair crack late last season, but I feel like the team was in a who cares sort of stage. So it'd be good. This is, I guess, Josh Felaty's make it or break it time, I guess, for him. If he gets into first grade and makes the most of it and kind of secures maybe a spot that a Brent Naden might leave open, although we've got Chiruva coming next year as well. But I don't know, maybe takes Charlie Staines' spot. I don't know how they'll maneuver around for next year. We'll talk about next year, but at the end of this year. So yeah, I really want Felaty to come in, have a blinder, and secure the spot, because he was, a little bit overwhelmed, I think, with first grade last year. So Yeah, come on, Joshy.
He only played the one game last year, Josh.
Was the last game? Was it? This the one?
Yeah, it was the
game?
last game where we got towed up by Manly.
Yeah, so I guess he hasn't had a fair crack at it yet. So I guess that's a bit unfair then to write him off after 2 first-grade games. But I just hope he comes in and, yeah, defensively, he's not a liability, does his job, gets a bit of work rate, gets that mullet flying with a few runs. And
I think the real test for Benji will be after this game, where if either Declan or Josh have an absolute barnstormer, does he leave one of them in the team to take over from Nathan, who honestly probably deserves a bit of a stint on the sidelines for just an absolute dog shit move on the weekend.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when those suspensions happen. Right, elsewhere, the halves are still the same, 4-pack wise. So Pupley back into an edge, and Justin Matamua, very much the same as what I just said with Josh Felity. So he's getting another crack at lock. I feel like we're getting at the stage of Matamua where we want to see something as we want to see the talent that we've heard about him having, and want him to come in and do a job for us, and hopefully playing at lock show us that he can, add something to the attack as well.
Yeah, well, the thing with Matamua is he's played just a handful of games. You can count the number of games he's played on 2 hands, and I think maybe for one of those or a few of those, he hasn't even had all that much game time. He started on the bench in all the games he's played so far. And he has it, and we've always thought he's a lock. He's playing lock in reserve grade, and he seems to make a pretty good fist of it. We don't have a typical ball playing lock. He might be able to be that link type player that you sort of need now in the modern game. And obviously he gets his opportunity with the injuries and suspensions that we're under to kind of press his case as well.
Did he see a rumor today that Jakey Simkin and Talon Silva were running at hooker and Appy possibly running at halfback? Any thoughts on that? Did you see that rumor floating around today?
I did see that rumor. I'm a little bit iffy on this one because obviously Appy's the best hooker in the game right now, I would have to say. Why wouldn't you want the best player in their position playing in their position? But in saying that, Appy's influence on the game in those few games where he actually played halfback last year, including that win against the Dolphins, you couldn't understate what he brought to the team. Yeah. And in saying that, Jake is a serviceable halfback, a serviceable hooker, and then you can bring talent in, and we want to kind of blood him more as well, get him some more game time, because he's pretty much the future in that position once Appy probably retires from playing, because I think he'll be with us for the rest of his career, hopefully anyway. And I haven't seen anyone say that they don't like talent or what he brings to the team. He played, I think, maybe 7-ish games last year and looked quite solid throughout all of them.
Yeah, and the thing with talent too, there's a rumor going around that I read this on Facebook, so I'd take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But apparently Talon De Silva is kind of similar to what Lachlan Galvin did, basically saying, hey, I want some first grade time or let me go. So it's kind of annoying that these kids are coming through and saying, give me first grade straight away or I'm gone. But there's rumors that Talon De Silva is, or maybe his management are kind of...
I'd say it's probably more the manager trying to do that.
In that boat at the moment. So maybe this is a way that they can appease that. But in saying that, I would like to see Talon De Silva get it. Like I said, I want to see the kids. I want to see the future. The future is now, old man. So get them in, get the kids in to have a crack. In terms of the front row rotation, so Pole and Twally, obviously. So we've got a 3-4 bench. So safe half, Twally, and Pole. How do you think it's a bit of a different one for Benji? Because usually there's someone on there that might not get any game time as kind of a reserve, but yeah, all forwards on the bench. As how do you think Benji's going to use the forwards and the rotation this week?
Yeah, I think the full bench ready to play and ready to roll is really important this week, especially with the 5-day turnaround from Magic Round. Obviously, Twal and Seyfarth can both slot in at prop, but Seyfarth can also slot in the second row if need be, although Isaiah Papali'i and Samuel Afeinu should stay there the whole in the second row, barring any injuries to any of our outside backs, which we would never want to see. And then Fanua Pole, obviously, will probably share the lock duties with Justin Matamua, and he can sort of act as a third prop from that position as well. So there's a bit of versatility in most of those bench players. I think Jake Simpkin could slot into the halves if absolutely necessary, although I probably wouldn't advise that because he seems to be an out-and-out hooker as his sort of utility there. Yeah, and then if absolutely necessary, like he played on Sunday, Twal could probably slot in at lock as well. So there's a few options that Benji's got pretty much with all those players, which I think is really important in the modern game.
If Talon Da Silva does come into the team, Jakey moves. So I guess that would mean Jaden Sullivan would be pushed out of the side or do you think they would? I can't see them bringing Sullivan to the bench in place of a forward. I guess that's how it is. Be Sullivan to 18th man, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'd be thinking as well, because obviously Talon would be coming in to be on the bench, you'd most likely imagine, which would leave, Sullivan as the odd man out there.
Righto, enough. Let's move on to the North Queensland Cowboys. Run us through their team list, as.
No worries. So their fullback is Scott Drinkwater. Their wingers are Braden Burns and Murray Taulagi. Valentine Holmes and Viliami Vailea are in the centres. Tom Dearden and Chad Townsend are the halves. Jordan McLean and Griffin Neem are the props, with Reece Robson at hooker. Helam Lukey and Jeremiah Nanai are in the second row, with Ruben Cotter at lock. Their bench is Sam McIntyre, another former friend, Thomas McKaylee, Kulikefu Finafuiaki, and Jason Taumalolo. Jake Granville is their 18th man, with Jake Clifford, Harrison Edwards, Kyle Felt, and Jackson Purdue in the reserves.
A few Cowboys regulars outside that 17 there. Obviously, Toddy Payton. Yeah.
Granville, Clifford, and Felt. Yeah, they've both been, all three of those really have been kind of stalwarts for the Cowboys for a decent amount of time.
Yeah. How old is Kyle Felt?
He's early 30s, I think.
Okay, so he's getting on as well. Yeah, just thinking what
mid 30s maybe, like 33-ish.
What are your thoughts on this side? As obviously we're well underdogs. The Cowboys haven't lit the competition on fire like they did a year or two ago. But obviously this corresponding game last year wasn't the greatest.
Well, in saying that the Cowboys haven't really been setting the world on fire this year, they started, I think they were still on top of the ladder after maybe 4 or 5 rounds. They were absolutely killing it. They were scoring points at will, barely conceding any, and then there just seems to have been a little bit of a drop-off over the last 5 or 6 weeks, and they haven't really looked like the same team. I'm pretty sure they've maybe won one of their last, or 2 of their last 5 or 6 games. I know they beat the Rabbits last week, but I can't remember off the top of my head their last win before that. No, they beat the Titans as well.
Titans,
sort of
yeah.
That was a really close one where it looked like they were actually going to.
Actually,
no, didn't the Titans beat them? I can't remember. Maybe they held on. But in saying that, they've got to
come from behind. The Titans came from behind, didn't they?
It
was when Foreign got injured.
Yeah, they lost their whole bench that day. They had no one on the bench by the end of the game. They were absolutely decimated. But this is still a really strong team. Obviously, you've got Chad Townsend leading them around the park. He's an absolutely high quality player. Scott Drinkwater is an absolute weapon at fullback, and Valentine Holmes, he's a rocks and diamonds player, but more often than not, he's diamonds. The only time I can remember him not really being a diamond was when Stafford Toa made him his bitch at Leichhardt last year.
He got his
Otherwise,
revenge.
he definitely got his revenge, but we don't talk about that. And they've got a fairly experienced player on the bench in Jason Taumalolo. Like, they've got threats all around the park. You've got to be really careful. But in saying that, like I said, at first they were scoring points for fun, and now their defense is really suspect. So there is something we can exploit there if we can get around them or through them. Whatever the club has been working on as finding a weakness in this team. Like, there is definitely an avenue there for us to score points if we can pull it off.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. Yeah, a game where we can score more than 18. If we can get into the 20s, that'd be nice. Yeah, there's a bit of fight.
Keep them below 20.
Yeah, I mean, the edges is obviously like our center pairings, like Valentine Holmes up against two inexperienced guys. Like, the outside backs, the edges are what I always worry. I think our forwards can, match it with them, but man, the outside backs, just the edges, who are their wingers? Braden Burns, Murray Tuilagi. Like, I don't want to see 1,000 tries of them going over untouched. And no sin bins would be good can we go a whole 80 minutes without a sin bin?
Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? I'll also add that Murray Taulungi's in my Supercoach team, so I hope he has a good game, but not too good of a game.
Righto, Statsman, what do you got for us this week?
So I've drawn a little bit of inspiration from something I saw on Twitter from NBWT, Nothing But West Tigers. He put up the total number of games played for our 1 to 13. So I thought I'd take that, add the games played by our bench, and sort of break it down and do a comparison to the Cowboys. So the total number of games played by our backs, so that's jerseys 1 through 7, is 136. Total games played by our bench is 273. The total across the whole team is 1,071, averaging 63 games each. And you've got to keep in mind that our centres have played 6 and 1. So Declan Casey has played 6 and Josh Felaty has played 1. And then you've also got an inexperienced winger who's only played 3. And our number 6 who's also only played 8. So really low numbers there. So 136 for the 1 to 7. Compare that to the Cowboys 1 to 7. If my page actually moves across for me, there we go. The Cowboys number 1 to 7, has 803. So they're 1 to 7, almost as many games as our entire team. Their bench, 407 games of experience, and the total across the whole team, 1,746, averaging just a touch under 103 each, which is a full 40 games more than our entire team itself averages. So we are a very young and a very inexperienced team overall. Obviously, we've got a couple of players with a fair number of games for us. Obviously, Appy's played 200 exactly up until this point. David Clemmer is closing in on 230. But then you look at some of their experienced players. Obviously, Chad Townsend has played 252. Jason Taumalolo, 263. So they are much more experienced than we are.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a stat week after week. Like
it really could be at this point.
By the sounds of it, our roster is going to get even younger. So, yeah, look,
I think maybe one of the few teams that we might have a little bit of an edge experience-wise over is the Rabbits, but that's only if their current injury crisis persists.
Beating the Rabbits. When do we have them? We got them in Gosford.
We've got them in Gosford. I think it's round 20, which is the week after Origin Game 3. So if they're resting any players from that, maybe, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
like Latrell Mitchell would be great.
knowing our luck, they'll probably be in form. by then. But anyways, previous matchups for this one. So obviously last year we lost 74-0 in this corresponding game, but we beat them 66-18 at Leichhardt. 2022 we lost by a field goal at up there, and then at Magic Round we lost 36-12. So we've only played them in Sydney once since COVID, because we lost at Leichhardt as well. 2020 at a crowdless Campbelltown, we beat them 36-20, and then pre-COVID 28-4 win at Leichhardt, 26-27 win at Willow. What's Willows? Willows is
that's their old stadium before,
old stadium
before it was redone. Yeah.
Dairy
Farmers, I think it used to be called.
Yeah, we used to have a pretty good record against the Cows. I was at that win in 2010 at Willow. 2011, when we won 38-18. That was the start of a huge run for us into the finals that year. So that was a good one to be at there. I remember Timmy Maltson having a very good game in that one. Yeah, I went twice to the old stadium. I really want to get up to the new one, but
I'd like to check it out too. Looks like a really good stadium.
Yeah, and Townsville, it's a cool place. Magnetic Island. Nah, give me compared to what Sydney, bloody freezing cold in Sydney at the moment. I'll take humid and 30 degrees any day. Sleep Addy said, how'd we go against them in 2005? Pretty good. Sorry, I only clipped, you're saying the list is short. I only had it clipped to 2010. I couldn't fit more on the stream. Righto, Josh Adamus for this week. 3 try scorers. I'm going to go Zach Lomax. I think the Dragons, will score a decent amount of points against the
Dogs.
Who are they? The Dogs. Yes, I think I can see Lomax getting over. Reece Walsh. So the Bronx are playing against, who are they playing as? I should have the draw in front of me when I'm doing this. Gold Coast. I think the Bronx might run up a score. I'm going a double for Reece Walsh. So he's back. He had a week off. I think he'd be raring to go. I can see him scoring 2. And then Isaiah Papali'i. Now this guy, he's looking for a contract for next year. I can just see the irony of him having a blinder. He's obviously had a week off as well, so he should be fresh. And I can see him scoring a try up in Townsville as well. So that's Zach Lomax, Isaiah Papali'i a try, and then a Reece Walsh double for Broncos. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelpline.org.au. Thank you to our sponsors, Chase Bet. And if you head to westtigers.com.au, click the purple button and sign up to our friends at Chase Bet. Right, our tips for this week. So first game of the round, as I just mentioned, or as mentioned, the Dogs up against the Dragons at a core stadium, 7:50 Thursday night. I'm going the Dragons, and Shane, our current leader of the Patreon comp, and as are going the Doggies. Why have you gone the Doggies in this one, as?
I think they're more likely to bounce back at home after what was a fairly disappointing Magic Round performance against the Raiders. I still don't fully trust the Dragons. I think they're still a little bit of a how you going sort of team, for lack of a better turn of phrase. This is probably the trickiest game of the round to tip, in my opinion, and I think I'm just barely leaning towards the Dogs.
Yeah, I don't know. The Dragons, Ben Hunt's playing, and Ben Hunt has been very good this year. The Bulldogs are favourites in this one, but I don't know. Homebush doesn't have that much of a home. Like usually when it's a close one, I'll go home team. But I mean, Homebush against the Dragons is much of a muchness for a home ground advantage. If it was Belmore, I might have swung towards the Dogs, but I'm thinking,
especially because the Dragons used to use Homebush as a home ground as
yeah,
well. I
and that,
remember.
they'll have plenty. They'll have plenty of fans there. It might be
Oh yeah, they travel well.
yeah, they're a good loyal fan base. Full respect for the Dragons. We've all gone Cowboys in this one. Unfortunately, we're all cowards. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a tough one. I hope we're wrong. It's
I always love it when the Tigers prove me wrong in tipping.
Prove me wrong.
If I miss out on a perfect round of tipping because I tipped against the Tigers and they're the one team that gets the job done, no complaints from me, none whatsoever.
Yeah. Righto. It's a pretty tough round to pick this weekend. Manly at home against the Storm. I've gone the Storm. Shane's gone the Storm as well, but you've gone Manly as.
I have, and I'm really not sure if I'm going to keep this tip the same. I'm likely to change it, but at the moment, I'm thinking more along the home ground advantage side of things. You might remember what Manly did to Penrith about maybe 6 or so weeks ago at Brookie. They absolutely towed them up. I think this game could be another one of those. Obviously, it's the Battle of Brookie. It's a big rivalry. I think Manly are a really solid chance of getting up, but like I said, I may change my tip back. This is probably also extremely close to a 50-50.
No Tommy Turbo. Yeah. No Tommy Turbo, then Manly are just, that's the head of the snake. And Storm, they're on fire at the moment. Maybe Blory get over for a try at Brookie, but it's hard to tip against the Storm at the moment.
His old mate Luke Brooks. He might run over the top of Luke Brooks for a try. He'd enjoy that.
And Tommy Talau, will they be on the same side? Him and Tommy Talau? Because they are mates.
So. I think they might be.
Ooh. Sean's been playing on the left, I think.
Yeah.
And Tommy Talau's been on
the right. So I think they will be.
I
think they will be on the same side. Yeah.
So Shawnee Blore running. I should put that in Josh Adamus. Shawnee Blore running over his mate Tommy Talau for a try. There we go. Is Brooksy on the same side as well? Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Brooks, Blory might have a try through a bit of a soft hole from TT and LB. We've all gone Roosters in Canberra. I mean, Canberra, wouldn't be too. But I mean, the Chookies too good at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah, if this was a night game, I may have been leaning more towards the Raiders only just. But yeah, the Roosters, despite losing last week to the Sharks, they're still in really solid form. They've got a forward pack to rival pretty much any team in the competition. When they're at full strength, they are extremely dangerous. And yeah, I think they're going to be a little too good for Canberra in this one.
We've all gone Sharkies against the Panthers. This is a tough one, but no Clearys, obviously, for the Panthers. Sharks on top of the table playing at home. Yeah, I almost hit the Panthers in this one. It's tough. I don't know. For some reason, I don't want to believe that the Sharks are the best team in the comp, but statistically they are.
Yeah, exactly. I find it really hard to believe that they're sitting where they are, but they're there and they're doing extremely well. They've only lost one game to the season against a team that we all really enjoy supporting.
That was a good one.
But yeah, a Nathan Cleary-less Panthers. I think Nico Hines in particular is probably want to press his spot in the Blues side, and obviously this is his last chance to do that because Origin
against Luai
announced.
Same for Luai as well, though.
Yeah, so there's a lot on the line for probably both of those players. This is and Origin teams get announced at the end of this round. So,
Bunnies Eels. So another game at Homebush Saturday night. Yeah, Bunnies at the bottom of the ladder. This is the game. This is but I hope they both lose They're both my two most hated teams playing not far from my house. I might just walk over and just boo them both.
Boo earns.
I was saying boo earns. We've all gone bunnies in this one but not with great confidence. And I don't look, to be honest, as much as I hate Parramatta, we kind of want the bunnies to stay below us on the table too. Well, they're forward against Whites, they still will, but keep the foot on the throat of the bunnies.
This one really sucks for us in the position we're in. Obviously, the Eels are still bottom 4, just above us. If they win, they go 4 points ahead of us, so we can't catch them. But we also don't want the Rabbits getting much closer to us, especially if we can jag a win this week. So this one, for the Tigers in general, just sucks.
Queensland, Southeast Queensland Derby next on Sunday, 2 p.m, Suncorp. Sunday Arvo footy for the Broncos. There you go. And not on Channel 9. Yeah, what's going on there? Well, they're playing against the Titans. I guess that's the reason. Broncos pretty comfortably, I would think, as much as the Titans have been brave so far.
Yeah, you're right. The Titans have been extremely brave. They've been doing well these last few weeks, but I think this is the week Big Brother goes out there to really teach them a lesson. Their team's still pretty decimated from the injuries against the Cowboys a couple of weeks ago. They've got a halves pairing that probably don't have a lot of experience playing together, while the Broncos have a team that have been building for quite some time. I think this one could be a little bit of a lesson in pain.
A lesson in pain, Haas.
True.
Nice one. Yeah. Warriors, Dolphins to finish. We've all gone Warriors, despite the Warriors being 13th and the Dolphins 4th. I feel like we're all kind of waiting for the Warriors to kind of fire back up. But they're playing at home. That's why they've gone the Warriors. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Finns get up as well. But Wars at home for me, Az. And same for you.
Yeah, I've tipped them just because they're at home as well. My thing is, how long can the Dolphins hold up their momentum for? I think they're bound to probably slip a game sometime, and this one might be it.
New South Wales Cup. So, I mean, the side for the Maggies is we pull more players up into the first grade side. It's getting a little bit, thinner for the poor old Maggies, but the Seagulls aren't doing, Blacktown Worker Seagulls aren't doing overly well. Where are they in the ladder? They are 10th. So see what happens. They're playing at Laybutt Field, wherever the hell that is. I assume near Blacktown somewhere. So if you want to get out and watch the Maggies play, they play 3 p.m. Sunday Arvo. Someone in the comments, I'm sure, will tell me where HE Laybutt Field is. And in Jersey Flegg, so the Jersey Flegg are playing literally at the same time as our first graders. So they're playing they're playing at Brookie ahead of the Manly Storm game. So, yeah, so literally at the same time, 6 p.m. Friday, kickoff for Jersey Flegg. Patreon time. I don't think the Patreon guys have left anything for us for tonight. So, but shouts to our Patreon members, patreon.com/WestsLife. And we'll review this game 8:30 p.m. on Monday night. As anything to add before we say goodnight to Big Dog? It's just Slay Batty said Wakeham will be watching that game from Silverwater.
I noticed Emmanuel F in the YouTube comments there said the only thing I'm sure of is the Knights won't win this week. You say that, Emmanuel, but they still get 2 points, so you can maybe consider that to be a win. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I'm sure we're going to see an improved performance from what we dished out last time we went up to Townsville. At least I very much hope we do. Never say never about the Rabbits overtaking us on for and against if we get pumped by a similar margin. We'll really close the gap on them, which we really don't want to do. So yeah, but I'm sure this will be a much better game. Looking forward to watching it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the team can screw up my perfect round and get a win.
Shouts Matthew on Facebook. He said Reservoir Road just off Great Western Highway, where that Laybart field is. So go the Maggies, and yeah, hopefully our boys can get up as well. Join us Monday night. Now, next Wednesday, I'll give a look for those that have hung around right to the end of the show. So obviously the West Tigers have the bye next week, and I think a much needed one for players and fans. Going to try something different next Wednesday. Going to try and do a NRL preview, basically an episode, not just West Tigers. So I'm trying to organise as many fans of the team, every single team playing that week. So it's a shortened week. It's 5 games for that round.
Yeah, 5 games.
So going to trial a all-in preview, a whole NRL preview, and try and find as many friends of the show coming in for those 10 teams playing. We'll see how we go. So next Wednesday, something a little bit different. So if you've got friends who go for other teams, not that I do, but tell them that Wednesday night, the WestsLife Podcast, they're going big. They're going all in on NRL. We call it, I don't know, rename it to, I don't know, NRL League Life or something. I don't know if Fox Sports still have that copyrighted. I have to look into that. But anyway,
they probably would. We might want to avoid that particular name.
Yeah, but anyway, before then, Monday night, Az and I, and we'll review this game. And thank you to the many of you on YouTube and Facebook that joined us tonight, and thank you to everyone listening back as well. Nice, easy one tonight, Az. 46 minutes, nice and efficient. And my sound, I think we've gone the whole episode with no tech errors. We're on fire tonight.
Yep, not a single audio error from you on my end, Josh. So excellent news.
That means the West Tigers are going to have a 100% completion rate this week. You watch.
Bring it on.
All right. As always, go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the WestsLife Podcast. Please follow us at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and facebook.com/WestsLifePod. You can also support and take part in the show at patreon.com/WestsLife, and give us a subscribe on YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll see you again next time on another episode of the WestsLife Podcast.